Neo statue, huh? And it's the same player I've been bumping into. Basically, they win, I win, round and round it goes. And it doesn't help my Moonlight tracking with the Basho Core's ridiculous hitbox that's broken. Still, I'm surprised it's taking so long for From to do anything about it. Oh well, should hopefully still be able to win. Gamer greeting engaged. Let's make this a good one. And I want to ask, out of all the melee weapons in this game, because there are quite a few, what is your favorite double melee combination? I do believe out of all of them, double Moonlight has a great amount of synergy because you could easily go back to back with the attacks, as you see, without having to worry about putting yourself at risk unlike other melee options. But I want to hear your opinion. If there's one complaint I do have about the Moonlight, it's that if you use it on a Tetrapod, you still go into firing stance when launching the blade waves. That seems like an oversight to me, given that Tetrapods will bypass the firing stance for every other weapon in the game when you go airborne, so why not the Moonlight? Either way, still a fantastic weapon. It is iconic after all. It's been a part of From Software's history since the beginning, not just Armored Core or the Soul series, but even some of From's earliest titles, if I'm not mistaken. Oh man. Every time I deal with Neo Statue, I can't help but wonder why it's taking From so long to fix this issue. Maybe it's a little bit more complicated because it's a hitbox problem and not so much revolving around damage values or your typical balance adjustments, but hopefully sooner or later they get to it. I was really banking on those hitting. Didn't go so well that time. I did make quite the comeback given their early health lead. Despite it, I'm trying to think what's the best course of action here. You know what? Not sure if you heard my dog barking, but that gives me an idea to go full aggro and treat this like any missile rat that I've come across. Yeah, I'm not going to give you any breathing room this time, and hopefully my Moonlight attacks will hit their mark. That's what it's going to come down to, but no, I'm not letting up on the pressure, buddy. You are not getting away from me. This is a great start. It's working. Still landed the second attack. Ooh, wait, they didn't capitalize on me being staggered. This is perfect. I needed that. And for the win. Oh, it is never fun going up against Neo statues, but I gotta thank my dog for that one. Those are some broad shoulders. I have never seen those arms equipped to a lightweight core. That was wild looking. I originally was planning to use those arms for my build because at first I wanted this to be a heavyweight, but then I settled with, nice dodge, settled with making this into a middleweight. I feel it's the most optimal weight class for using the Moonlights, given that you need the defense to take hits when you're in the middle of the attack animation and have enough speed to keep up with your targets, whereas if you go too light, you can easily be destroyed while you're in the middle of attacking, or if you're a heavyweight, might have a tougher time keeping up with those more nimble targets. Also, I noticed a lot of my personal custom builds in this game are more on either the lighter or heavier side of things. Given this game pretty much encourages that anyway, I wanted to add a little bit more variety. Ooh, got you that time. So why not go with a middleweight to change things up a bit? This is going to be a short match. If you had any doubts about the Moonlight's damage, it is crazy when you're able to land all 4 Blade Wave attacks. Yeah. You can make short work of a lot of things. This was an interesting build to face. It was like a rat catcher in the making. Keep it up. This AC looks pretty close to what I'm using, minus a few differences here and there. The shield, I'm not too worried about, honestly. If I was using one melee weapon, then probably, because shield users have an easy time blocking any full frontal attacks from one melee weapon. Nice. But having back-to-back Moonlight attacks is going to be hard for them to predict with the parry. And on top of all of that, I still build a pretty decent stagger with the fully charged Moonlight if they end up blocking it. Easy. That is why I'm saying double Moonlight is a very good combo in this game if you haven't tried it. I highly recommend checking it out for yourself, not only because it is a lot of fun, but because you get so much coverage as a result. The redshift being a coral weapon means you bypass... That was rude. You bypass your opponent's defense, and the regular Moonlight does pretty well even against opponents that resist energy damage. I gotta be careful about that morally. It is surprisingly effective at setting them up for some laser dagger attempts. I don't like that one bit. So yeah, out of all the double melee combos in Armored Core 6, this is definitely one worth checking out. Nice pulse armor. I'm surprised you're not using the laser dagger's charged attack to close the distance. That's a pretty common technique that I've come across. You can even get a free hit in if you're close enough. Good block. No way you avoided the redshift by standing perfectly still. And now I can't punish. Come on, I got you low enough. There we go. GG. I would say, again, shields are a top counter against single melee weapons, but doubling it up becomes a lot easier. Dual handguns into Sweet 16s, now that looks like a mean setup. I might have to try out something like that myself. Good thing I'm not on a lightweight or have any weapons that really require me to get in close. Ooh, they definitely made contact there. Assault armor, I was barely out of the blast radius. You know what, I'll take it. If you're going to run into my blade wave attacks, that's going to make life a lot easier. Moments like that, I kind of wish the Moonlight still had the actual blade attack as well as the waves. Like in other games such as Elden Ring, so you can stack the damage from both. I think you could also do that in Bloodborne if I remember right. If you launch the projectile and your enemy is within reach of the blade hitting, you do some insane damage. Maybe it'd be too broken in Armored Core. Then again, I don't think so, because it's really dependent on your opponents rushing you as you launch your attack. So I'd like to see them try to implement something like that if they ever revamp some of the melee weapons in this game or in a sequel. I also like you can cancel the fully charged melee attack on this thing, because if you couldn't, that would be a huge detriment and not really make the weapon worth using if you were going to be a sitting duck the whole time. One of my tetrapods looks pretty close to this one, minus the arms and back weapons. Also, can someone explain why the Vero legs are considered inferior to the other tetrapod legs? I don't recall if it was a nerf it received or the buffs the other tetrapods got after some time. I mean, the Vero legs used to be the tetrapods to use, and how they just really fell off, especially after the Lammergeier was introduced. I rarely, if ever, see these things being used, which is a shame because it is... Yikes, this is going to be rough. But it is one of my favorite legs in the game. So, if anyone would like to comment on that, let me know. I'd appreciate the answer to understanding why it doesn't see a lot of play these days. Also, that was such a direct confrontation. We were trading blows the entire time. I'm surprised they were grounded as well. You don't see that often with tetrapods, and I made a few that have a similar style of play. But I feel like with their arsenal, they're better off being airborne. At least I say this from personal experience. I remember using something similar and making every tank's life miserable because they couldn't reach me and I was raining down the craziest amount of firepower. I think they're reliant on that explosive thrower to get the stagger on me. They're not having luck with the bazooka. Ooh, double stagger, that's okay. Good game. Really could have been anyone's match towards the end there. It was a fun way of constantly attacking one another to see who would last the longest. I am digging the camo paint job on this one. Something about the boxier frame parts, coupled with some form of camouflage, just looks so good. Especially the Balaam parts. If you haven't seen for yourself, try to put on some form of camo with something that has Balaam attached to it, and it'll look really good. Captures the military aesthetic perfectly. I'm not sure if that was by design, given the background of the red guns and all that, but you will not be disappointed if you're going for a military look on your AC, trust me. Oh, that was cold-blooded. I looked like I could not care less by simply standing idle and shooting them down like that. No disrespect. Wanted to make quick work of the situation is all. Connect 4 Moonlight Edition. I cannot get over how much damage that does. Doesn't help that their AC is lacking energy defense either. That's something to take into account. You are not reaching me from there. Ooh, nailed them with that one. Oh, I was hoping to hit them with the last blade wave. Good job on the AC, and I had a ton of fun with this build today. What's there to say, other than what's better than 1 Moonlight? 2 Moonlights. I wanted to fully utilize the mid-range attacks of these melee weapons, and the rest of the arsenal complements this perfectly. You can apply a lot of pressure to your opponents at a reasonable distance without putting yourself in harm's way like other melee-oriented builds. Not that there's anything wrong with the traditional way of getting up close and personal, but it's nice to know that there's more than one way to get the job done. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, take care.